Well,
I
cheers.
nothing. I had nothing.
Welcome to the come up. Thank you for coming.
Pleasure to be here, Katia.
Yes, yes. Redwood Empire whiskey.
I'm interested.
Actually, I saw this bottle and I definitely thought of you. Do you want me to read the quote to you?
Please.
The power of imagination makes us infinite. I feel like that's very fitting for you and your come up and creative journey.
You know what that makes me think?
What?
The power of imagination makes you infinite. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. The problem with the power of imagination is that often you're acknowledged for it in the infinite, not in the here
In the
and
moment.
now.
Yeah. That
Like-
is true. That's like the story of creatives, right?
Most of them. Yeah.
It is.
You know, Moby Dick,
like
I
this.
believe, wasn't published, in writing until some couple centuries after Melville died. And now every kid in high school, like, in order to graduate,
Yeah.
kind of has it as part of their reading list. But,
Van Gogh, too, was completely broke.
and these guys, these
They go
artists,
insane.
these artists never got anybody to be
Yeah.
like, hey, good job.
Hey, buddy.
Or, unless they're watching from above somewhere. But, like, wouldn't it be nice if you could be, kind of have that stuff happen before you die?
Yeah.
So
That's
that someone doesn't. I one day I'll kick the bucket and someone will like go through my bookshelf and be like, "Oh,
wow, look at that script.
I kind of like this now that he's dead. When he was alive, not so much.
I didn't like it at all.
Now I love it."
See, I think it's a control thing, especially when it comes to Hollywood. I think it's the control thing of like, hey, you have this creative power, so I have to take something away from you because I'm the one that makes it, or I'm
very
the one that
interesting. They say like the people who can't do teach, right?
Right.
And then and it's kind of and so that's kind of like in the scholastic cliche world. It's a cliche in the scholastic world, but in Hollywood it's like those that can't create wear cheap suits and like
But they're not cheap.
work like at the top of the as execs,
Right.
and just style their office so that there's 70 scripts on their desk that they're never going to get to, and
Yeah.
make a living out of saying no, because I agree with you, it probably is a lot to do with power. They can't do it themselves.
Right. So they, like, for some reason, the fact that they can't do it themselves, they get the power to make the decisions of what works.
And
Like, that's insane.
oftentimes they're not the most intelligent, or they're not the most
Creative,
qualified
yeah.
for the job.
Right.
But they've bullied or strong-armed or jerked their way to the top, and now they are in control of all the decision making. They say big brain, small mouth, small brain, big mouth, but it's the people with the big mouths that end up warranting all the attention.
Yeah.
They get in that position, and people listen to them, and the ones that should, well, creatives are not, but usually the ones that should be making decisions for the good of people are the ones that are like second guessing themselves, because
Right.
they're smart enough to realize that, like, hey, I can't just go shooting my mouth off. Whereas you get these Hollywood agent elite that are just like, hey, what's up? My word is the scripture,
Yeah.
and then it's just kind of like, but that's how life is in general, working in like digital marketing and other kinds of like business settings. It's very similar. It's actually in this book, the amount of CEOs in this country, this is a Simon Sinek quote, that have that are bona fide sociopaths, is around 20%. So 20% of CEOs in this country qualify as sociopaths. Now, there is another population in America that is as high, that 20% of its populations are sociopaths. It's prison. So
Stop it.
that's just
Okay,
that's
so
just what
this
it
is like the perfect representation of Erik Cardona work, because everything that you write and or direct or script, you always have like a deep research element to it, right?
Thank you for
You're
saying
welcome.
that.
But it's true. It's very true. Like there's always like, I don't think most creatives take the research side, or maybe they do. I don't know. I've read a lot of scripts, and I think there's a lot of like research to the way your brain works, and then same side of like the director side and everything like that.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
So like a friend of mine kind of echoed that recently, a writing colleague, and he said, you know, it's gonna sound weird to say like the third person, but he was like, I really love hearing an Erik Cardona story, and let me tell you why. And I said, well, okay, I'm all right. And he goes, because it's like I'm listening and I'm into it, I'm engaged, but I know at the end there's gonna be like a lesson, or there's gonna be like a moral to this story. There's gonna be a lesson. There's gonna be like a reason behind it, and I think partly that's just sort of like, for me, that's kind of what makes it worth telling the story in the first place. So the story is almost like the dressing for the moral. I really just want to convey the moral or the lesson, but you have to build it in a certain way to do that. So I think it's just sort of like how it works. But I also have been really gravitated toward that. I've been kind of like, okay, what do all these things add up to? What's the conclusion? Like, it's very mathematical for me.
So do you think that there's a moral to every story? Like 100%?
Well, I just think if there's not, then it's not worth fucking talking about. Like, what do we talk? Like, why are you wasting your breath? Like, I don't even want to, like, there's nothing more than just like dull, like, what do you call it? When you talk just to talk, it's a simple talk or small talk,
Small
right?
talk.
Like, what is the
Why are we
fucking
here?
point? Like when I go for a hike on Sunday mornings, my biggest pet peeve, people that say like, hey, good morning.
Wait,
I'm like,
why?
fuck off. Why are you
that's
talking to me
nice.
right now? Now, if you go, hey,
You're not
by
from
the
the
way,
Midwest.
there are a couple mountain lions up top. Now,
my
I
God.
know that, and I go, well, thank you. Very kind of you to, but just the small, simple stuff. Like I feel like we only have so many words in life. And so I'm always like, make it purposeful, make it meaningful. And I think that I have a lot more opportunity to hone in on that during my writing, which, to your point about the research, helps that, because that research is kind of helping to set up or support.
It's like the
these kind of
outline
things.
of everything.
It helps get you there.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a strong vehicle.
Yeah.
So that's that.
But what if the purpose, first of all, my Midwest mom would be so mad at you. Her like biggest complaint about Los Angeles is that when she walks down the street, like nobody says hello to her. She's like, turn it off. Okay, hold on.
It's an easy break time.
It's gonna get hot in here.
It'll get a little hot, but
It's worth to not have the. No, that's her number one thing.
there's
She's
a
like,
hot mic.
people are so mean in LA because, growing up, LJ growing up in the Midwest, like,
I love the hello.
see?
You love the hello.
See?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It brings me back home. It literally
Yeah.
makes me feel like I'm back a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, my buddy, a new friend Elliot, if he watches this, he'll love this. He wanted to go for a hike. He's from New York. First time I hiked with him, and I'm walking up, and I kind of got my head down. And say, hello, 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 hello. Now you do the head down to avoid all these hellos, but this time I'm just seeing all these hellos, and I turned to him and. Like, why is everybody saying hello? And he's behind me, and he's doing this to everybody. I was like, what are you doing?
Don't attract them. But what if the purpose of those words is to make someone stay and say, like, hey, I see you as a human. There's the
Sure.
purpose. There's a new outlook.
Okay, sure.
We're going to turn you into a
That's
hello
a
guy.
small percentage chance that was like lightning in a bottle.
Oh, I don't know. You're clearly from California. Okay, so we don't know all about your writing, but we're going to dive into it. But what I really want to start the foundation of
Yeah.
is when you knew you wanted to do writing as a living.
Well, I mean, it's kind of personal.
Will you tell us?
Yeah. So I wrote this. I was always not. I don't want to say good at writing. It just kind of came a little more natural to me. So in grade school, kids we'd do short answer reading comprehension, and without realizing, they would try to just use as few words as possible.
Yeah.
What happened in the story? The fox died, and I was like, well, the fox was going through a lot of issues, and he had a couple of friends, and he tried to rely on and so and it just kind of came out that way. And it blew a lot of teachers away because I guess it's not normal, but it was just normal to me, so I didn't think anything special of it. I wrote this story coming out of like recess as a fourth grader, and just did it as a writing assignment. And my mom went home and she read it. She was like, "Holy shit, this is incredible!" She drove back to the school and took it to my fourth grade teacher and was like, "Are you not going to do something with this? Like, this is not just an assignment. This is like, you need to submit this. This needs to go somewhere. This needs to go to the newspaper. This needs to go to," I don't know. Was mortifying. But they submitted it to some like writing contest within the network of schools or whatever. And it ended up winning a blue ribbon. Woo. And as a 10-year-old, so then my mom was like, "You're going to be a writer. One of these days, you're going to be a writer." And she always thought I'd be like, write for the Washington Post.
Right.
So,
Well, your research background. Hello, journalism.
So two strikes against me. One, it was very natural and it came very easy. So I didn't think it was special.
Mm-hmm.
And two, my mom said I was going to be a writer. So I was like, no, no. Why would I do that? Like, parents aren't cool, you know? And so I was up until like my mid-20s, and I was just like, I mean, dude, I wrote like a couple essays to get into college. I got a full ride at Notre Dame and like a really good chunk of change to go to Pepperdine based on just the entrance essay alone, and some grades or whatever to get in. But like
a couple grades.
But cool. Like the meat, they were, you know, my counselors were like, how did you accept this guy there, you know, and like, have you read his essay? And you know, I just didn't think of it. And I'd help other kids and my sisters and stuff get into college and do things like that, you know, writing assignments, whatever. I just never thought it was special. Then I get to LA, and I'm just like, all I want to do is live by the beach, because I went to Pepperdine, and I wanted to rekindle some of that.
What did you study at Pepperdine, though?
Psychology and sociology. I did a double
Again,
major.
it all comes back to research. It's all full circle here.
Well, I mean, the psych-so stuff is so beautiful, because the psychology is the study of the individual mind, and sociology is how those individual minds work together or don't work together. And actually, that all plays comes in pretty handy when you're storytelling. Yeah. Because you can understand why characters and how they ebb and flow, and dialogue gets richer and all these different things. But again, wasn't using it for writing. Right. So I just wanted to bartend next to the beach, had a dog, wanted to run by the beach. That was my dream. But then out in LA, I mean, you can't like walk 5 feet without someone be like, "Hey, bro, you want to read my script, dude? You want to run some lines with me?" Or like, you know, "I'm an actor, I'm an actress, da 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 da." And they'd be practicing, and I'd be like, "Oh, I wouldn't say it that way. I would try it this way." And people were handing me like, you know, scripts on Microsoft Word, and I would just like go in and punch them up and edit, and they would look at them and be like, "How did you, this nobody who came here to not do any of that stuff?"
Right, which is insane, because who moves to Los Angeles and is like, "I'm willingly want to be a bartender, but I don't want to work in the entertainment industry." Like, you're kind of the only person I've ever met.
Just totally content and happy with being by the beach and not utilizing this, you know, strength of mine that I had, you know, and not really realized that it was special since I was little. So I meet this actor friend who's like so hardcore in every way. Well, I mean, I worked with him in the bar at the time. He was an actor, and he was like, "So what are you doing here, man?" And I'm like, "Literally nothing." And he's like, "Well, let me tell you something. LA is too full of people chasing their dreams for you to be taking up a spot. Ooh. You either get in the business or you get the fuck out."
No way.
Like, wow, that is so hardcore. But I liked him, so I was like, "Well, what do you think I should do?" And he's like, "You should write."
It's really funny, because who convinces someone to be like, "You should definitely be in this like horrendous industry that like destroys every part of you."
And then if you're not here to sign up for that, and get the fuck out.
You're not in this torture device with us. You can just get out.
Yeah.
But you listened.
Yeah, I did. And I remember there was another dude that worked at that place, and he was just like this cool cat cucumber guy, but he was still in the industry.
Wait, what was the place you first worked at?
It was called Ocean Seafood.
It doesn't exist.
It's now a King's Fish. It's now, oh my gosh, it's like a super high end next to Roku.
Oh, on Santa Monica?
Yeah.
That seafood spot,
yeah,
the big
Boa, one. Roku.
Yeah.
Water
Grill. Yeah.
Water Grill. Yeah, we were there when it was Ocean Ave.
That was the first place I interviewed when I moved to LA.
Well,
I didn't get the job.
I did.
Man. It was fine. I lived in Hollywood. Didn't make sense.
Did not make sense.
Did not make sense.
But I asked this guy, so like I don't get it. Like how come like why doesn't everybody just write a script? Like it seems pretty easy. And he was like, do you know how many scripts there are out there? And I was like, no. Like because I didn't think it was. I thought it was more niche. I didn't know any screenwriters. I didn't know it was like a thing to do. And he was like, and do you know how many bad scripts there are out there? And I was like,
and how many bad scripts that actually get made?
Well, they get
That's
made,
all
but there's also so many bad ones that it thwarts like giving your average script a chance because you get a page into it, or you even just look at a script. Sometimes if you've read, 1,000 bad ones, you don't even want to give it a shot. So that's when I was like, oh, wait a minute, this feels like it's pretty challenging. Like, first of all, the industry is inundated with scripts and stories, and then on top of that, they're inundated with a lot of bad ones.
Right.
So to get through all that, I'd have to be really fucking good. And then the challenge of it started to kind of click. And I think I came to a point in my life where I realized that if you're good at something, I shouldn't say that because I don't know if I'm good. You just never know. You're always chasing that. But if something comes more natural to you than it does the average person, which I've come to find writing is something that is like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can't even write a Christmas card. They hate it. It's like not natural to them. And so if something comes natural to you, I think we grow up watching all these like heroic movies, and we think of these like heroes that had to go through all this adversity. And it's only if something is so impossible and so difficult to accomplish that it's actually special or worthwhile. So if you're just able to come straight up and write, you're like, well, that's not a superpower. That's just walking down the street. I need to do something that like is so impossible for me. So I should learn how to play the guitar left-handed. And you're like, no, you idiot. That's not your superpower. Your superpower is the stuff that comes naturally.
Wait, but that's so interesting.
Lean into that.
Because that is, again, like the control thing on the creative side of like, in theory, it should be like lean into that. But there's like a torture element to the industry where they're like, no, you must suffer for this.
Well, and I think that people have a hard time figuring out what they're good at. And sometimes you have people that are spinning your wheels in different directions. And, either they're not honest with you or maybe they're too honest with you. Mm-hmm. You have potential at something, but maybe you don't get good enough at it. Because there's a lot of actors out there that are not good. And they don't know that that's not their superpower. But imagine if you just shifted it just a little bit and you were like, okay, you're going to write or you're going to direct or you're going to produce. You're going to do something in the world. But
how do you go from this guy kind of like busting your balls about not living in LA and not being in the industry to actually on your days off when you're not on the beach chilling with your dog, wanting to like sit down and create work for yourself?
I guess it started with the first script. I wanted to see if I could do it.
What was it?
It was called...
This is so fun. Say names. Yeah. I've known you for like 5 years and there's so much I don't know. So this is so fun.
Yeah. I'm sure. That's... well, we did a short film. We wrote a short film called Black, Red, Yellow. And I had gone... overseas for a summer.
Was it for a girl? This is like the theme on the Come Up with Katia. There's always like, I went somewhere for a long travel for a woman.
No, it was for CBS. But
oh God, are we not going to talk about that?
Yeah, it was a stint. Yeah. It was
okay.
Fun. But I came back.
You can feel free to Google CBS Erik Cardona to know what we're talking about. Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Sure.
Okay.
So we came back, and I came back, and that guy was like so intense. He was like, "Yeah, you're either in or you're out." He goes, "Dude, I wrote a first draft of a short film. It's called Black, Red, Yellow," and I read it, and I was like, "Wow, this is like really exciting." But like, it was cut and paste together, napkins, kind of all this, whatever. And I was like, "Would it be okay if I?" And he's like, "Oh, fucking rewrite every word, dude. I do not care. I just want to be in it. I want to direct it. I want to like whatever. Right? I think we should make this thing." And so I got a taste for it, and we wrote it together, then produced it on a shoestring budget, and then we shot it over the course of 3 days, and it didn't suck, and it was pretty fun. It was pretty cool. It was like 19 minutes, and we went to like the LA Action Film Festival or something. We made it to a couple of film festivals, smaller ones, but the LA Action one, they were like, stick around, you should stick around for the banquet. We're like, well, why would we do that? Well, there was an award, best dialogue, and
No way.
I won best dialogue
Oh my
award
God.
on the first try.
How did you guys even know at that point how to submit to various festivals?
Oh, this guy
or
I was
anything
working
like
with
that?
was a
He
machine.
knew.
Yeah, he was a
Okay.
machine. He was like, here's a list of everything, blah, 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 blah. Like, we started like kind of like a team, almost like, I guess, a production company, but it was just sort of us working together on projects. And then if we ever got anything greenlit, maybe it could have been something, but we had a couple business cards and, you know, an email address and stuff like that.
Just cold calling.
Yeah. And hoping that, you know, some work out there like this short film would like kind of kick things off. And it did a little bit. It was good for my confidence. And then, you know, but then I was like, can you do it on 100 pages? So director friend of ours was like, you need to write about the bar world. Because every night I come in and I see you and Andrew behind the bar, and it is the best show on earth.
It's like the
Well,
former Vanderpump Rules, but it wasn't.
right.
Yeah.
Before that was cool. And I remember again, like getting hung up. I'm like, yeah, but it's not special. It's just like,
Well, wait.
I
Why
go
were
to
you guys
work and it's
cool
just,
behind
yeah,
the
I
bar,
guess.
though?
Wow, we're just pretty good at it, I guess. I think, you know, he was an amazing tactician. He was like Mozart behind the bar, and now he's CEO of one of the biggest bar companies across the country.
Is this?
Yeah.
Got it.
So the guy has like some sort of magic in his blood, but it translated itself kind of however he wanted to wave his wand. You know what I mean? If he was going to lock into, you know, music, or he was going to lock into stories, like it just sort of, he had that ability. So at the time, that's what we were kind of channeling. But when we were behind the bar, yeah, it was like, if you're going to be here, like, enjoy it, be personal. A lot of the themes that come up in the book are like how to really connect and be human to human. And so
Sure.
in a time where people were looking down on bartenders, I guess you would come in and watch us work and see us have a good time, throw back a few drinks, laughs, this, that,
They had a
whatever.
good time.
Remember somebody's name, you know, pick up their tab once in a while, or do some things like that. And just like, there's a different way to bartend. It doesn't have to, and then from your side, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I hate this shit job and every day sucks, and you know, I'm just gonna like try to make enough to pay for parking and start over tomorrow.
That's like what happened to me, like long term in the industry, which is why I knew I had to not go out. Because as you touched on in the book, like if you're an asshole, you ruin everyone else's day too.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
You're not just like affecting yourself; you're affecting everyone, and then you're a dick.
So there's, you know, the whiskey boom is kind of happening
Yep.
as well too, and cocktails are kind of coming back around 2005, 2010, right around that area. And so I think people were genuinely interested, and they were telling me, you got to write about the bar. And because I hadn't written anything other than that short film. Got to write about the bar world. I was like, it's not that interesting. And they're like, that's your problem.
It's funny because that was also kind of like the Bourdain era of the same thing, where, you know, when he wrote Kitchen Confidential, he was like, what do you mean you want to hear about like this motley crew of people in the kitchen who make no sense, but somehow like put out the best food in America that make people's lives. He's like, this is nasty. Like, it's disgusting. It's the same type of thing. There's like, if you don't do it, there's an intrigue.
I totally. And anytime you can get, and this is something I've learned since, but anytime you can put an audience member or reader or someone into the shoes of a place that they don't know. Okay, remember, they go to the bar, they don't know what happens on the inside the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody's watching The Bear right now, it's like just blowing up because people are like, oh my God, they talk like that? And it's normal for anybody that's been on that side. But,
Right.
But there's, but it's the same like feeling you get when you watch like Top Gun and you're like, oh my God, Navy pilots. It's like, oh my God, bartenders. And the only block is the person that's actually doing it.
Sure.
So I told this director, it's not that interesting. We're just making drinks. We're not saving the world. It's not like there's a asteroid coming to Earth and going to blow up the bar. Like, I don't know how to write this story. And he looked at me, and I use that example because that's exactly what I told him. And he looked at me and said, Eric, remember this for the rest of your career. Drama is only as important as it is to the people involved in the situation. So there may not be an asteroid coming down to crash into the bar, but if it feels like that to the bartenders, then it'll be a great story. And I was like, holy shit. So I started doing some research, and that's when I really started taking the natural skill set and then applying it with research and study, and not just specific research, but like overall story research. So you start reading Robert McKee, and Blake Snyder. I like Larry. I'm blanking on his last name, but he's one of my favorite guys. Sid Field. Start really getting into it, and of course Joseph Campbell. And I'm watching this interview with Joseph Campbell. He's at Skywalker Ranch or some shit. I'm like, how the fuck did he get there? Oh, it turns out like he was the main consultant on the story or the script for Star Wars. And you're like, oh, Star Wars is a pretty popular movie. That movie's been around for the test of time.
Yeah.
And, it turns out Lucas really didn't have much of a script, and it was just like this bad, special effects and some lasers up in space. But he consulted with Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell was like, let's bring in this Luke Skywalker. He's going to be an orphan, okay? Then they're going to rescue him. He's going to go to a whole new world, right? Act 2 is going to start. And he's going to be a wanderer. He's going to be like, what the fuck is going on? What's the Force? Blah, blah, blah. And then he's going to go and be an attacker and start, we can do this. And in the end, he's going to be a martyr. At least he's going to potentially sacrifice himself for the good. Now, of course, that story works out. He drops the 2 in the Death Star, and it goes, but that's the hero's journey right there in Star Wars. And I was like, holy shit, I gotta find a way to make Star Wars in a bar. And then I was like, I got it. Bar Wars.
Wait, isn't that the name of a show?
No, it's not. But it sounds like a douchey reality show, right?
It does.
So the story of Bar Wars is 2 competing bars that are cast on a reality show called Bar Wars. So cool.
How is this not made?
I can't wait to make it.
Like, for real.
I gave it to an exec, and he took it, and
He's
he
probably
threw it
never
back.
bartended.
And he was like, he goes, you know what? Can I just be honest with you? He pushes the whole thing back. Didn't even read a word that I. He goes, it's the title. Sounds like a douchey reality television show. I go, it is. Like, that's exactly the point. That's it. There's a douchey reality television show called Bar Wars that pits these 2 rival bars in LA against each other in the season finale. And it's a one-night turn and burn, like think Waiting or Cocktail all mixed together with Coyote Ugly on crack. And it is so much fun. It was my first.
I want to watch this so bad.
And it was great. I mean, some people from the industry have read it and been like, I laughed, I cried, and So it's something that I don't think I'll get the opportunity until I get like 1 to hit.
Right.
And then they're like, what else do you got? And I go,
Bar Wars.
and they're like, give me more. We'll see, maybe.
Who taught you to bartend? Or how did you learn to bartend?
I lied.
Everyone does.
Yeah, but I walked in for a barback position, like out of college.
You'd never bartended before?
No, a friend.
Were you like Googling?
No, a friend was like, you should really work in the service industry during the summer if you want to get some cash.
Sure.
And, you should be a barback. Just go in and try to apply for a barback. So of course I went to the one spot that I thought had like the hottest girls. Like I was like, I'll barback there. It was like kind of known in my like hometown. That was like the spot.
Oh, and, it wasn't. Your first job wasn't at Water Girl,
no,
or
no.
What?
No,
that was
that was like my first job in LA. But this was kind of like I just kind of college. I came back for like summer, trying to like figure out how to make some money so I could move out, and plan my next move. And then I guess like either that day or the next day, the day before, the bartender had gotten fired, and I had said something like, yeah, I'd been behind the bar and poured some beers. And they're like, wait, you're a bartender? And I was like, I didn't say that, but you got really excited. And I was like, sure.
So now I am.
How hard could it be? And they're like, oh my God, let me call Tom, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, hey, this guy's got bartending experience. We totally need a bartender. Would you be able to start Monday? And I was like, awesome. How fast can I get through flashcards to figure out all these cocktails?
Was it like a fancy cocktail bar too?
Oh, yeah. It was called
really?
PTL. It was like, what a beautiful place to start and learn, and it was very family.
Did you
run.
crash and burn?
Yeah, yes, no, because I was really studying hard because I really wanted to pull it off. Half of it was like, this would be cool. It's a good job, good money. All of a sudden I'm like instantly zero to like the dude, right? Because you're like one of like 3 bartenders,
right?
So I like the challenge aspect of it, and I also want to see if I could pull it off because it's like a little bit like a con,
Totally.
And so that was kind of fun. But we'd be doing drink lists, and he'd be like, "Oh, we're making the I don't know, like the whatever, the El Diablo, Martel something, whatever, right? Some cocktail." Let me going through it, and he'd be like, "Oh, and get all the ingredients. That's it. I was like, oh, I got everything. Can you have me the Grand Marnier? He's like, the what?
Oh, shit.
It's like, the Grand Marnier.
Grand Marnier.
He's like, you mean Grand Marnier, right? I was like, yeah, you say
I was
it.
testing you.
It took a couple of those, and that guy was like, you are not a bartender, but he wasn't the owner, so it didn't.
And he was like, I like you, so you're cool. I'm not gonna fucking rat
He's
at
like,
you.
I kind of respect your game, but that was like a little nerve wracking. Turns out bartending's difficult.
It is difficult.
It's hard.
I worked at a bar in LA once, and the guy clearly had lied. And I didn't enjoy him, so like this didn't happen. But someone ordered old fashioned, and he poured them a Jack and Coke. And you're like, okay, I guess that could be an old fashioned.
Well, yeah,
could be an old fashioned.
That's the other thing is if they ordered, off menu, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, but the cool thing is, I used to do this when I was really in a pinch. Oh, what do you have to drink? What sounds good? I'm like, what color do you like? And like, they think I'm just masterful, like,
Mixologist. Yeah.
That I'm gonna like fit split, but really I got like a couple of like core things. And I know colors make everything.
Totally.
So
What were they?
Pink martini, green martini. I'd make something like a key lime martini, or I'd make like a chocolate martini, or I'd make like.
How do you make a
Cosmo.
key lime martini?
God, dude, this is so many years ago. I don't even know. Yeah. I'm sure there was like a key lime.
You just made it up right
yeah,
now.
No, I'm pretty sure it was like a key lime Smirnoff and like a scoop of ice cream or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's green and it tastes.
And tastes nasty, and they'll order 7 of them and like.
There you go.
Not order dinner because they're full from that.
But there is sort of like a little bit of like a lining there, like. It didn't really matter what was in the glass. It mattered like your connection with them,
right?
Giving them like some safe space for their day, and engaging with them and having fun with them and getting their money's worth, and just making them feel special. Like
you just summed up the whole book, but everyone should read it anyways.
Yeah. And so like working at that place, Pizzioli, with Tom, who was my intro, and I got to learn a lot. Like there's more to this than just selling drinks,
right?
And he was this Italian dude who was like, listen, I got 2 rules, okay? You show up on time and you don't fuck any of my staff. You got it?
Which is hilarious because if you know anything about the service industry, everyone is sleeping with everybody.
Well, yeah.
So like, but I guess if it's family owned, like really don't fuck my staff.
Show up on time and don't fuck anybody on my staff. I was like, Jesus, this guy is so hardcore.
I love that. Wait, what was his name?
His name was Tom.
Tom.
Yeah, Tom DeGrazia. Love that guy. He was so cool, and he was so cool to me. With helping me kind of learn and
not firing you for not knowing what you were actually doing.
I did some stupid shit. I was learning, and I think he saw maybe a little more good potential than bad or something, and it was very. It was cool to run into like an authority figure that wasn't there to just hammer you down.
Right.
It was there to sort of like support you, bring you down to build you up. You know what I mean? Like he definitely, I mean, like if you fucked up, he got you, but in more of a nurturing way, and so that was good. But lessons that you learn from that, and then meeting that guy Andrew over at Ocean Avenue, and kind of just understanding at the same time, like if you have something that you're naturally good at, it's probably a strength, not something to just take for granted. With writing, also the stuff you were doing behind the bar, and it wasn't for me the mixing, it was the connecting, right? And also, by the way, where else do you find a good story than in a bar?
Well, I should say it's like the ultimate character development is characters at a bar.
Such good bedfellows
and banter and just everything. There's.
I say it. Seth and I wrote Pouring with Heart, and we talk about people go to a bar and they're more honest with their bartender, even if it's not their main bartender, even if it's just a bartender.
It's almost better if it's a random bartender than like their bartender.
They'll tell them more than they tell their spouse.
Yeah.
They'll tell them more than they tell their best friends, than their priest, than their,
Why is that though?
it's the magic of the business. And the thing is, one thing I learned was said Moses, right? The original CEO of 213 and Pouring with Heart.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I learned from him was that, kind of the history of it, and how bars have kind of been really deeply rooted in the fabric of our society and societies, like, in general.
Yeah.
So, like, when we're building the Roman Empire, like, we need sanitation and we need churches, and where the fuck are we going to drink? And they're like, okay, we'll all drink here. In fact, what if we made the churches the places where people get drunk, and we did the same place? Perfect. Knock two birds with one stone. And when America was winning their independence, George Washington was going, horseback from bar to bar to bar to be like, guys, hey, I know this is where my people are, and I'm going to, stand up on a table and cheers, and we're going to be united, and I'm going to tell you the information that you're not getting, because the communication and technology and whatnot. And when they tell the story about Paul Revere when you're a kid, like, Paul Revere was just like, oh, the British are coming. What they don't tell you is that after he originally took off, he got cut off by two, like, kind of guardsmen or something, and they almost killed him. And he escaped narrowly and was so freaked out that before he was able to go do the whole the British is coming, he stopped off at a pub and he ordered Revere's I forget what the name was called, like a tip or something. It was like tip. So I forget what it's called. It's in the book. It's in the chapter.
But you guys tell another story too of, like, the George Washington, like, after the Declaration,
after the Declaration of Independence
was signed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the bar tab they all celebrated at a bar and, like, had, like, a crazy ass party. And their bar tab was like what, like $1 million in today's?
Today's, yeah.
It was I don't even know what the number was.
I think it was something like $53,000
back then.
Yeah, which then we did the math today with inflation and whatnot, and it came up to, like, something just ridiculous. Yeah, like $900,000 tab.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, our president being like, yeah.
That's like the first order of business at the White House is like to pay off the $900,000 tab.
Pay off the $900,000 tab.
That makes sense. That's very telling of our society. But at the same time too, like, specifically, honestly, like, the whiskey business too, but the bar industry and mixology and cocktails are, like, the one true thing that, like, America has as their foundation. Like, that's, like, American of creating cocktails. Of course there's cocktails all over, but that's really something that, like, we as Americans, like, hang our hat on, is that art form in a way.
Yeah, we're good
it's
at
really
it.
Interesting.
And it's evolved, as sort of technology's involved, but like basic rudimentary technology, like when we're able to transport things, right? So, like, we're going back to, like, covered wagons and stuff and the development of the wheel. And, like, okay, so you could distribute like booze across,
state lines
or across counties or whatever. No, actually, before that, you used the wheel and the covered wagon to transport ice. So now they didn't have freezers. You know what I mean? So now this giant stagecoach covered wagon is just one giant block of ice. And you're bringing it in, and the world's rejoicing because they're like, "Holy shit!
Ice.
That gasoline on the shelf over there, that's, like, just, got all kinds of, like, gross flavors and turpentine-esque kind of, like, consistency. We could put ice in there, and then maybe some juice, and then maybe make a cocktail.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? We could have, like, 12 of those.
Well, and today, like, how many times do you go to a bar and if you drink specific spirits, specifically like a whiskey, and you're like, they have really good ice, or like their ice is really clear, or they like stamp their ice. Like, people remember that, and it's insane. Like, even today I was like, sorry, my ice is shitty. Like, I just have, like, ice from a bag, and I'm like, Eric, sorry, my ice is shitty. Like,
well, okay, so you make a good point. Ice is such a game changer, and it definitely stands out. I appreciate bars that can show a little love and respect to the ice and how important it is. They say, like, a cocktail shouldn't have more than, like, 3 ingredients or something like that. And it's usually ice is one of a lot of times people don't think about it
as an ingredient. Yeah.
So, an old fashioned, sugar, water, spirits, and when you're going down the list, bitters, but when you're saying water, you're talking about the ice. the
Yeah.
ice is there, and it's meant to temperature control, but it's
Shape
also
it.
meant to, right? It's meant to balance
Yeah.
the alcohol as it kind of melts, so that it's also like really cool that it's not just meant for just in the moment when you first sip. Like it's meant, the ice has got this like beautiful poetry to it because it's still working. Like nothing else is really working in the glass. You're not even working. You're just holding the glass and having a conversation. But in the 20 minutes that it takes for you to drink that cocktail, that ice is still working. It's arguably the most alive part of it, and most people,
True.
it's the last thing that they think about when they think of it being an ingredient.
Yeah. I mean, they should think about it more.
Some ice melts faster.
It does. Why?
Well,
Oh, shitty ice. Shitty ice melts faster. I mean, you were like, it'll be neat in 5 minutes anyways. Which kind of is.
cheers to that.
Cheers to
But
that.
the second part of that is that's okay because this Redwood Empire is pretty good.
What do you look for in a whiskey?
I think like it's cliche, but it's not cliche. I don't know if people say it, but it feels like cliche. It's the company that you're with, and so maybe Redwood's tasting good because I'm enjoying the company that we're
Because we're on the come up with Katia.
Yeah, because we're on the come up with Katia. Whiskey tastes better on the come up. Redwood Empire. But it is very true. I think most of the time you think about the drinks that you like as the liquor you like or the liquor you don't like, and it's often associated with a positive or negative.
That's true. Because everyone's got that college story of 99 bananas. And I don't know, maybe at 32 years old, how old am I? 32? I might like 99 bananas, but I will never have it again because I was 18. It was a dark situation. But you know what? If you make me a cocktail with 99 bananas, I might like it today.
But maybe you're celebrating your birthday or something, and you're out and they put together something nice for you, and you're like, God, never thought I liked whiskey, but I had this old fashioned at $7,000 and blew me away, and now I love it.
Okay, so I don't want to jump around too much, but I really want to get to your relationship with Sed and how you wound up at $7,000 and again, not to fall forward into the development of one of the coolest bars to ever exist in Bar Jackalope.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was exciting. So I got a call from Sed about a year into the pandemic, and he had said that he'd been working on a book.
No, but how'd you start it?
Oh, how did it start?
How'd you start back there? The development of Bar Jackalope is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Itchy go, itchy.
Which means?
One chance, one encounter. It's a Japanese philosophy that means we only have this moment right now. This moment will never be repeated. So get the most out of it, enjoy it, respect it. It will never happen again. Not in the same way. We might be back on this couch again, but we will not have the same conversation.
True.
Something will be different. And so when you're being of service, when you're pouring with heart, just know that every single person that walks in your bar, you never get to do that again.
Yeah.
So make the most out of it. And that's a good lesson, I believe, to a lot of bartenders. They're like, oh, fuck this job. I hate this job. Oh, my God, the bell rang. That means the door opened. That means another person's coming in. Oh, my God, I hate this shift. How long until it's over? Why did they seat that person at 10:45? All that stuff. It's like, yeah,
that person tipped me actually $0, blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
I hear you. But just know that you have an opportunity every time you interact with somebody at the bar. And this coming from the guy who does not want you to say hello to me if you see me on a hike.
Right, seriously. What?
but
Erik is not of service to anyone if he's not on the clock.
But when you're in that spot and someone walks in, they come to your bar, they sit down at your bar stool, and you have the opportunity to make their night, make them a cocktail, but more than that, make their night. So, I started working at $7,000 via Andrew, who had left Ocean and gone to a whiskey bar in downtown.
Yeah.
Bar backed his way up, got the job as GM, called me the next day. Was like, brother, I need you to come in and do me a solid. Da da da. He was kind of like, he was clearly the right person for the job, and said, and GM at the time, or AGM, I guess whoever's between the GM and Sed.
AGM. District manager? No.
Somebody. It was like someone in the kind of
Like beyond general manager.
Yeah, I think
he
so.
oversaw like multiple things.
I
Okay,
think
cool,
so.
cool.
And I could be misremembering, but anyways, somebody hired him. Was
Yeah.
like, you're the guy. But part of him being the guy was that he had to do some things like his way. He had to sort of like
He had to form staff.
Yeah, we had to form staff. He had to reshape a culture and an
Sure.
identity. And Andrew's very much a point with heart guy. He understood and appreciated the service aspect of it and the connection, but he also had this savant level of like, ability to make drinks and respect these things and know all the distilleries where and what we're, where they're from and all the different bottles on the shelves. And if you've ever been to 7 Grand, it's like takes a 10-foot ladder.
One of
to
the
get
best
through 'em all.
bars in LA, by the way.
Awesome.
Like
And
it's
still
great.
going strong.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of these skill sets, but I think like don't sleep on him. And I knew this about him just from meeting him. Don't think
From
that he's
Bar
just a
Wars.
whiskey nerd. Don't think that he's just a showman. Don't think that he's just like a cheerleader behind the bar. What all these different little check marks he's all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sleep on him, you might think, well, oh good, he like so he gets it like I get it. It's like no, he gets it like everyone gets it. Like he's looking at this from a macro perspective. So he needed to sort of shape the culture a little bit. And I think that he wanted some people that he could trust, like anybody would when, doing something like
Right.
that. So,
Especially if you're like have a hospitality focus, you have to know that like when you're not there, your crew's not like putting on a absolutely I loved you when you're in there and not when you walk out the door. And then you get the Yelp review. You're like, Eric was a dick. I'm never coming back to 7 Grand because Eric was the worst person in the world, which obviously didn't happen.
no, thank goodness. Yelp reviews are scary.
They are.
They're scary.
They are.
I never got a bad Yelp review, but I thought I might get
Wow.
one time.
Did you get good ones?
Yeah.
Like by name?
Nah,
They're like that guy that was on that CBS show was awesome.
no, but I just remember one of the best compliments I ever got. This is such an LA compliment, so you probably like this. We're in the back bar and we're rocking out. It's Friday night, and I'm playing with the lights, and like people are making out in the corner, and like everybody's just like partying, and it's 1 a.m. and we're Bohemian Rhapsody's playing, and everybody's singing. Like, we're having a rocking time. And I'm with my partner bartending at the time. His name is Handsome Rob. And they go, these girls are they're like, got this look on their face, these two girls, and they're just like looking at us like, as we're just like, Mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, shots, pour old fashions down the road, ching, 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 here's your tab, wa-da-da. Like, it's amazing. And at the end of the song or whatever, it all settles down and people are just like, yeah, rah, and they looked at us and she goes, did you guys have to audition to get this job? It was such a weird foreign question because I never auditioned in my life.
But I mean, actually, if
Well,
you've
like,
ever
they're-
bartended in LA, everyone auditions for the job.
Did you have to audition for this? I was like, no, we're bartenders.
That's amazing.
So that was a cool Yelp review. But yeah, so I got there for the first year. It was a little bit of an uphill journey to try to like get my footing and also be like trust my instincts.
Did you know a lot about whiskey before your job at 7 Grand?
No,
Okay.
I knew a little bit about it, but I was certainly brought in on the hospitality front.
Okay.
And then it was like catch up on the whiskey.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the bartenders of the culture at the time was flipped. I mean, service
Sure.
has always been excellent, but there was a much more emphasis on the whiskey and whatnot. And I think that we could have benefited the bar if we were a little bit more bounced.
Well, because if you don't know whiskey too, it can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
So you don't need some like encyclopedia of like, well, this was blah, 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 blah. I don't even know. But especially if you're trying to like bring in a new culture of whiskey and beyond like a Jameson, which is a great, fine, whatever. But if you want to bring someone to like a label that you don't know and be like, hey, you'd actually really like this because of X, Y, and Z, you have to talk to someone that way. You can't be like, well, technically the barrels were formulated from these trees that were found in a Kentucky like abandoned warehouse, and the entire brand is whatever. You get what I'm saying?
You're 1,000% right. But that involves reading the room. That
Right.
involves like knowing whether that person had a great day, had a bad day, whether
Sure.
it's raining outside, whether they're on a
Sometimes
first
people just
date,
want Jameson shots.
whether they're on
and
a
they need
last
it.
date. You know what I mean? Like, are they
Ooh.
on a first date, a last date? What's going on? Like, you got to read this stuff. And like, imagine you're just like, oh, dude, fucking, my dog ran away. I had to leave my car at work because there's a flat. I'm going to miss my deadline. My girlfriend literally breaking up with me tonight. And you're like, well, how about that Kentucky bourbon? And someone's just like going on and on and on and reading you an encyclopedia. And they're a nice person and they're trying to be like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah, right.
So, but again, some bartenders think that that's what you're supposed to do to be a good bartender. So it's not their fault. They're really trying hard.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if you just took some of that energy, put that in your pocket, listened a little bit, eye contact, be receptive, and just, if they want to go down that road, go down the road.
Right.
Because it's so much cooler when you're like, wow, how do you know all this stuff? I didn't expect that because you weren't shoving it down my throat. And then when I asked you a question, you gave me a very intelligent, articulate answer. And now I want to know more.
Right.
Or I'm like, cool. And then we're done. And you left me alone. That's even cooler.
Right.
I'll be back.
Which is exactly, and I really want to dive into how this created, but I will say before we get into it, that is exactly what Bar Jackalope is.
Yeah.
Is if you want to shoot the shit with the whiskey master, or whatever you guys call them, like if you want to shoot the shit with them and learn every single ounce of that brand that you're going to drink or potentially drinking, they will tell it to you. Or if you're just like, I want to spend like X, Y, and Z, and I want to get kind of buzzy and I want to feel this way, they're like, got you, see you later, bye.
It's funny you say that right now because during this interview, I've actively been like holding back on some whiskey nerd.
Wait, don't give us all the whiskey
just because
nerd.
I'm like trying to balance the conversation.
Okay.
And I'm almost like, it's funny because like talking to you right now and sipping this whiskey, this is almost like a conversation we would have at Bar Jackalope.
100%.
And I think that is what's so very special about Bar Jackalope is it's on the high end whiskey bars in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It is up there. In style, ambiance, like authority, like
For those
it's
who
legit.
don't know it,
yeah,
we got to go back. We got to go back because we have to talk about like exactly what it is. Because I think a lot of people in LA don't know what it is, but most people definitely people who don't live in Los Angeles don't know what this is. How did Bar Jackalope become a perfect little whiskey speakeasy within a busy bar of $7,000? How did the concept come to be?
a lot of guts, man, a lot of guts. My GM Andrew Abramson, who I've been referring to throughout this.
Yeah.
I had been at the bar for about a year now, so I was a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
I'd done my thing. His strategy was kind of going in the direction. The bar was getting a lot more balanced, and now I was like, okay, now for phase 2. And Andrew was like, hey, Car, let me talk to you for a minute. You know that back bar that you guys light on fire every weekend? I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Go back to Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay. Yeah.
He goes, I love that. It's great. Good for business, good for morale, good for everything. But imagine Monday through Friday. It's the complete opposite. You ever been to Japan? And I was like, this guy's going to drop Japan on me. One thing you know about Japan is like perfectionist.
Yes.
Right? Like utmost respect and appreciation for, the moment, right? As we were talking about earlier. In Japan, they have these like fantastic whiskey bars that are just like 5-seaters. And when you go to one of them, if 5 people are in the bar, they're at capacity, and that's it. They're done, and they're attentive and they're focused and they're locked in. They don't want 6 people in the bar because that would take away from the attention that they want to provide the service. In LA, they're like, we got 5 seats. That's about 50, right?
Yes.
Standing room only, the whole thing, right?
Perfect vibes.
And for all of the great things and fun stuff about $7,000, it can run a little busy, and a lot of people like that. That's what you go there for.
It's energy.
What if you could also do the other thing, right? And so, man, we just we had that back room. We're like, can we soundproof it? I guess we can.
Really?
Can we throw in some like nice?
I never thought about that, but it is.
Yeah. Can we throw some Sam Cooke back there?
Yeah.
Can we get some jazz playing and light some candles? I guess we could. Can we have like 20 seats, like 3 tables and like a couple things in the patio? Sure. Can we smoke cigars? I don't see why not. And all right, let's make this like a really intimate, reserved place. And we struggled with the concept. Not the concept, but we struggled with like attendance. And people like, what is this? I thought we were getting smashed tonight.
Where is Bohemian
Where's
Rhapsody?
Bohemian Rhapsody? We don't understand this. And
Where did the name come from, though?
so 7 Grand is got like this classic taxidermy
Right.
on the walls, and there's some stags on the walls. In the back room, there are jackalopes.
Okay.
4 jackalopes.
There before it was Bar Jackalope.
Yeah.
It was Jackalopes.
Yeah.
Okay, got
and
it.
so originally the first behind the scenes, the first conversation with Andrew, he was like, I'm thinking about calling it the Buck Bar.
No. No, because like that. Then I think of big buck hunter. Like, and again, I'm from the Midwest, but like anyone who this is a transplant town. You bring Midwesterners, and you're like Buck Bar. You're like, fuck yes, we are in a big buck hunter competition, and it's bring me picklebacks.
Well, and that's the beauty of a first draft, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember looking at him and going like, okay, I kind of Buck Bar. I got the alliteration, and it's like sharp sounding. It's kind of aggressive. Like, I like it. Sounds good. But then I was like, but don't you think that people are going to think like that's the bar that you go to like to spend $1 for a cocktail, and it's going to like cheapen it, right? People
The
are gonna be
writer
like,
in you.
I was like, I think people are going to think that everything is for like $1, like it's a 99-cent store of
Yeah.
bars. And he was like, scratch that. It's not the Buck Bar. So when he came back to me, he was like, what do you think about Jackalope Bar? And I was like, that's interesting. Now, full disclosure, because I worked there and I saw the jackalopes every weekend, I thought that was a real animal. I had no idea that jackalopes are not real. They're not. So
Fun fact.
fun fact. But so it's a mythical creature, I guess. I don't know why they'd make a mythical creature out of a little bunny with horns, but now that I
actually didn't. I don't know if I knew that either.
so it's not real. But then Andrew did one more, and he was like, but we'll call it Bar Jackalope because that's the respectful way of saying the name of a bar in Japan.
Okay.
I guess it's kind of like goes with the like names in general, the kind of last name and first name, like your family name and then your first name.
Okay.
And so it's out here it would be the Jackalope Bar. So Friday, Saturday was the Jackalope Bar, but when it was the Japanese style, it was Bar Jackalope, and Bar Jackalope was just like a hit. But we were having problems with the transition, and I went to one of these steakhouses on something. I don't even think I ate there. I think I have no idea what I was there. But I remember looking on the wall and seeing the Jim Rome locker. And there was like a bottle of wine in there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is how those people
Yeah.
live, right? Like they go to a steakhouse and they got their own locker and they're like, hey, Vito, hey, nice to see you. Bring my bottle of Cabernet down, right? So I went back to Andrew and I was like, do you think we could like have a whiskey bottle locker? Like, could people buy a bottle of whiskey? And then his mind was just like, oh, how would that work? And he was okay, well, they would have to buy it, but they'd have to buy it at a premium, but not like a ridiculous, like...
Right. It can't be like bottle service.
Not like, yeah.
Yeah.
But not like the ridiculous, like you're paying $1,000 for Grey Goose.
Right.
You might spend $400, but you're probably going to get like a 12-year-old bottle of scotch or something, or maybe even better than that. It's depending on what our prices were, but talk about like the best bottle service ever.
It's like boss status.
Boss status.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you think it work? I was like, well, my only question is it even legal? And then we just kind of flipped through some things, like, because like, buying a bottle and
that's not drinking it,
hammered it, and you just leave it. You get hammered, just leave it. I don't know, as long as you're not taking it to go or whatever. He was just like, well, ran the numbers, went to the corporate lawyers, whatever. I don't see why not. So next thing you know, we had the option to buy a bottle. So people come in, get a cocktail or two. Not many people were going because it was very slow and it was a different style. 20 guests a night, not really like paying for itself, But then that one guest was like, what's this bottle program? I'm like, well, you can buy your own bottle. And I get to come back. Yeah, you even get to put your name on it.
Yeah.
So let me get
these
this
little
straight.
hang tags.
I come back with like a business deal or group or whatever, right? And I sit down and I go, hey, Eric, bring me my bottle. And I bring a bottle of whiskey and it has my name on it. And I sit it down. And they were like, oh, God,
Yeah.
let's do it. So we started with 20 cabinet spaces. Now there's over 2,000. It's insane.
So I hate to like reveal secrets and like date secrets for people, but how this all kind of, how I even knew that you were involved with Bar Jackalope was I went on a first date with someone in Los Angeles. And do you not remember this conversation?
No, I just want to hear it out loud.
Okay. So the next day, 5 days, whatever. Anyways, I go on a first date with this person. It's going well. We hit a couple places downtown Los Angeles. At the end of the night, he's like, hey, do you want to go to this place that I have a bottle at? Like, that's how it was phrased. And I was like, yeah, I do.
I know this is a podcast, so I should say something, but like if like my face was just like,
So exactly. So
that's
this
how
is the
we
best
drew
part
it
though.
up.
So
that's how it was in the playbook. That was like basically the triangle. Those Phil Jackson's triangle offense right there. That's how you do it.
Right. So we go. It was a great date. Overall, it was a great date. Didn't work out. Great date. But we like sit down and they like bring out his bottle. It says his name on it. Blah, blah, blah. It's like all hot. Like exactly what you're
don't give me
envisioning.
the blah blah blah. Take me back to the moment. What were you impressed in the moment?
I was extremely impressed because I'd never seen anything like it. Like I'd never seen. So you walk into $7,000, you're like, this is a cool bar. Like this is a great, fun, awesome. There's a pool table. There's like an outdoor patio, which like if you throw an outdoor patio at me, like I'm all about. And then you throw whiskey in, we're ready. Okay. So then you go back towards the bathrooms, and on the left hand side there's like these locker situations, and they have bottles with little name tags on them that are handwritten. They're all unique, and you're like, who's that? And it for a second looks like decoration if you don't know A, what it is, but B, what's on the right side, which is a tiny little button, and you press the button, and then depending on how many people are in there, you can get it. They're always actually very nice the times that I've been there where they are at capacity, and they're like, if we can get you in, listen, like they're getting down there. They're a little, they'll be straight up with you. They're like, I feel like this table might leave. We'll put you down, go have some drinks at $7,000. We'll call you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So this is, again, like probably the third bar that we've been to on this first date. And they're like, sir, would you like your bottle? And like, yeah, I would like my bottle. So they bring it out with a name, and it's all impressive. And yeah, great. Clearly I'm going on a second date with you at this point. Like, awesome. I love this vibe. And I remember telling you, I was like, I went on this date with this guy, and it was awesome. We went to this bar. Have you ever heard of this bar called Bar Jackalope?
Yeah.
And he had a bottle there. I was like, he had a bottle there, had his name on it, and they brought it down. It was great. And you're like, fun fact. Let me tell you, the name tag was my idea. And I was like, shut up. Like I had no idea. And that, again, character development. What your name is on the bottle wasn't necessarily like Erik Cardona. Like you could say whatever you wanted on this.
Yeah, pros and cons about that.
There are.
Yeah, because most people were hammered by the time
And they're
made that
pretty
decision.
dirty.
And some were like, Todd, cool,
Todd.
And some were like, I'm gonna buy. Can I buy this for my brother? Yeah, okay. It's like the biggest dick this side of Minnesota.
And you're like, that doesn't fit on a chalkboard this big.
And there's, like you said, there's way worse.
But was this concept exactly like how my interaction at Bar Jackalope, was that the exact interaction that you wanted to happen?
Yeah, bullseye. And that's what we kind of were going for. I wanted the freedom of and the personality of you to name
because it's stuffy, but not. Like that's the best part.
Exactly. Like, hey, this is still whiskey for the people. At the
right.
end of the day.
For the people.
And boy, it feels good when you feel comfortable and you've accomplished the whiskey for the people, but it's also really nice.
Yeah.
Because you think like if you're a blue collar kind of person, like, well, that's reserved.
Exactly.
The suite is reserved for the suite. But when you're like, no, actually, why don't you come to the suite today? And that's what it felt like. And then
100%.
when there were like the high and mighties would come in too, because they, but they would be rubbing elbows, and nobody fed into that ego. Nobody showed up like, oh, I see a higher class of bar people are here. Let us tighten our. No, we were still like, hey, how are you? What do you guys drink tonight? Are you be interested in this, that, whatever? Would you like to hear a story about this or this? You know, it's just very like
Right.
the same conversation. Like everybody was treated equally. And here's another sneaky bar psychology thing. With the low lighting and the music and the intimacy and the atmosphere, you almost couldn't tell people apart. And that was very cool because there's a very, commonality
Right.
between them. And then the other thing too, if you had a bottle or you were with someone that had a bottle, you could go into Bar Jackalope and not spend but $10-15 if you were just a friend of somebody who had a bottle kind of thing. And which, by the way, they already paid for their thing because whoever bought the bottle had already spent the money, but it didn't cost an arm and a leg. Yet the bar started to make good money and just become really popular. And so
I was
taking
definitely
care
not like
of
a
itself.
super regular, but like we went back consistently for the most part. And I never, it's funny you say that though, because I never saw anyone that I would think I wouldn't see at any other regular bar, whether that be like never saw celebrities, never saw anyone that I wouldn't think would be at 7 Grand or any other bar. But obviously there was.
So there's kind of
That was the point.
there's a little bit of a kind of sometimes is a strict limit to like table size.
Sure.
And that's just because the tables are small. And,
Right.
And if you jam 8 people into a 4-person booth, that's not what the thing's about. It's kind of like the Japanese thing. If there's 4 seats, there's 4 seats. And one night, Mark Cuban came in.
Shut up. Shut up.
He comes in with.
How does Mark Cuban know about Bar Jackalope?
There's like I want to say there's 6 of them. No, there was 7. There was 7 of them. Right, there were 7 of them, including him, and they were like a 6 top or something like that. Right, I'm like, oh, that seat's 6. I'm like, oh, cool, we'll take that. And I go, oh, I'm really sorry, but like, there's 7 of you. If you want, you can hang out. We can maybe get 2 tables, bring them together, and do kind of like you can just take up like half the spot with your 7 top. Be happy to do that for you. But it's going to take a minute because we got to wait.
You told Mark Cuban to chill.
Yeah. Oh, here's the best part. He goes, no, we'll just take the table right now. And I was like, okay.
No.
But that's totally cool. But I have to ask that you reduce your party to 6. And I looked at the bar. I looked at his group, right? And it was Mark Cuban. It was like smoking hot babe, 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 and some dude.
Oh shit.
Trust me when I say Mark Cuban was like, yeah, that's no problem. And then he sits down at the table of 6 with 5 girls, and he pulls out a wad of $100 bills that was like that.
And the poor guy just had to go somewhere else?
Oh, yeah, the guy was just like,
Bye.
I assume he went and got a drink at the other bar.
Yeah.
Gee, no problem, Mark. Yeah, it was great.
But I love that he was cool with it too.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I love that.
Oh, they've done this before, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. But I really love that it worked out like that for you. I had it was very masculine, people might say.
It was.
But the interesting part about that was it was masculine in a way that it wasn't made for men. It was just, it kind of had this like musk kind of feel to it, smell, look, leather, all that stuff. And we found that it attracted a lot of women to the environment because this just in, a lot of women like men. Oh,
shocking.
Yeah, it goes both ways sometimes.
Weird.
And
you're like, ooh, hot men that have bottles, yes.
Yeah, okay, I kind of like this. So this woman comes in one night. She's kind of one of my favorite customers because she was like just total alpha, and it took like one time. She was on a date. She comes back the second time.
Did she have a bottle, or she just?
She got a bottle.
Okay.
And it was her second time, and she finishes up the date, and it was a different guy, but it was like a couple weeks apart, whatever. Different guy, different day, whatever. So
you have a bottle.
So glad you chose our establishment. I love this. You know what I mean? And so the guy goes to the restroom or something like that. She walks over and she comes up to the bar and she's like, I wanted to just let you know, I really love this bar. Now, in the next few months, I'm recently single. You are going to see me here over the course of the next few months. And every time I come in, I'm going to be with a different man. And I would appreciate your discretion.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
did she do one of these?
I love you.
Or was it like total?
She didn't do the money, but she might as well have.
Yeah.
And I was like, you are my hero. You're such a baller. And that is why we this is for you.
Yeah.
You know, yes.
Yes.
You get a.
Wait, did she
star.
find a
You get
winner?
star.
Was there ever two guys the same?
No, I mean,
Wow.
but she tailed
But that
off
says
after-
more about men. Because hello, how do you not get the second invite?
I don't think she was giving second
Oh,
invites. Is my impression. But we stopped seeing her a couple months after that. So
so someone did win.
yeah, maybe
Someone
she
won.
Yeah, but I just loved that her comfortability and like, you know, she was like, "Thank you for making this place. I love it. I'm gonna bring in a different dude every week. You're not gonna say a goddamn
Like
thing."
actual
I was
goals.
like, I got you. Girl.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same way you do, you know, like, I got you, dude. I got you, girl. You know,
Yeah.
I got you. That was another thing that was like, so now it was like, there was no classism in the bar. There was no like gender, sexism or anything like that. It wasn't built for one or the other. It was just a cool place to hang. And, you know, Andrew, developed the idea. He brought in me and Pedro Shanahan, like a legendary, man of the bar, with Pouring with Heart, and Sed oversaw it. You know, Sed greenlit it because he trusted Andrew, believed in Andrew, believed in the
Which
concept.
is huge, like a trust ability to.
Yeah, and then Andrew trusts us, so then
Yeah.
we're like, oh yeah, we really want to make this work. And you know, Andrew was the vision, Pedro was the, you know, like the you know, accuracy,
Okay.
and I was the hospitality, and all three of those things. I mean, if it's just the three of us with Sed's support or Sed's like involvement, so like 3 + 1, we could conquer the bar world.
Every bar could be a bar jackalope.
Yeah, maybe that's the 2 whiskeys into the podcast bravado, but
How much of what you were doing at Bar Jackalope at that time contributed to your writing in those days?
well, I will say that there's a story every night.
Did you write them down, or was it just like all up
Yeah,
here?
I mean, at one point I was like, fell into this cliche classic Hollywood bar napkin thing.
No, you did not.
Sure,
Do
right?
you still have them?
Yeah,
No
they're
way.
terrible. They're just like,
Well, like what? What do they
Like-
say?
you know, something happens like, girl loses a phone number, finds one on a bar napkin, calls the guy, thinks but it's, you know,
Not the right guy.
actually, yeah, you know, his doctor or something, and, you know, whatever crazy story I would have heard at the time. And, you know, a lot of times just living the life in general, because you go to a bar, maybe something crazy happens once every 10 times you go to a bar, which could be once a year.
Right.
For me, you know, I'm doing 4 shifts a week, maybe 5. And so that number potential like goes, you know, sky high. And whether it happens to you or you see it happen to,
Or you hear about it
Or you
because
hear
they're
about
telling
it.
you, like,
Oh, yeah.
did you
This
let
one
me
time.
tell you about
Blah,
last
blah, blah,
night?
blah, blah.
Yeah.
oh my God. Man, Phew, I don't know how much we can say on this podcast.
You can say whatever you want. Like
Everything?
everything you want. Please.
Everything?
Everything.
Oh my gosh.
Everything.
Oh boy.
Let's go.
Hit it
Should
off.
I
Hit
pour
it
you
off. It's that time.
That's when we need a real table. Just pour you a little more redwood.
Thank you. Yeah, that bought me a little time to decide what I will say and what I will not say. So yeah, okay. So I'll save the names to protect the innocent.
Yes. Let's save names.
And hit it off with this.
You personally.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she had a friend, and I was bartending with a friend, and we were just clicking. And this was like maybe their second or third time there, so that there was like a different kind of energy in the air. I was like, okay, after you guys get off tonight, you guys are gonna come back to our place.
They actually said that, or
Yeah.
it was implied?
I think it was like, what are you doing later? Do you want to come back to our place, kind of thing?
Okay.
But it was more like,
You're like, how quick can I clean the bar?
right, we got somewhere to be, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I just remember the first time was more like flirty and like kind of I think there might have been like a kiss at the end of the night kind of thing.
Ooh.
And then, but the nice
How
thing
does
is
that happen? Okay.
sometimes, okay, this is another thing. bartending, you get a lot of phone numbers, whatever. And,
I was a female bartender and I like did not. Maybe I'm just like not there or cool or poured with heart. But
I
like,
don't know. It's a little more poured with heart, maybe.
it was probably that. They're like, she's a bitch.
Well, what we would notice is you get the phone number on Friday, but the same person that you would call on Monday was not the same person necessarily that gave you the phone number on Friday at like 2 a.m.
Really?
Yeah, because they were out having a good time. It was their Friday. And they were drinking. You were drinking together, and like, you know what? Here's my phone number. You call them Monday, and they're like, back to work.
Yeah.
9 to 5. I'm killing the world. And then you're like, hey,
Eric who?
Remember that guy you met at the bar? And they're like, oh, actually.
No, I do not.
No. So sometimes that would happen, and that was kind of a bummer. But so there was a little bit of chemistry with these two girls, and then when they had come back, like the third time, it was like, okay, so they were like, let's go, like, do this, like, let's plan it, let's like go dress, hang out, go to the bar, we'll hang out. So it was kind of cool, and then it was like, why don't you guys come over, that kind of thing. So so I mean, it's just we're drinking all night long, you know, and we end up, you know, Ubering as soon as we can back there, and we get there and we're pretty hammered. They were hammered. They're kind of in that, like, we either like pass out or we just kind of like, so like, you want to go to the rooftop with us? I'm like, oh, okay. Well, the rooftop was not a rooftop. It was like an awning that was like slanted on the side.
Is this
like
downtown? Downtown LA? Okay.
And like
it's basically a fire escape.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
But it was like on the shingles. And it was like
Okay.
really sketch. And then 4 of us are trying to sit into a place where one person's not supposed to be. They're like, yeah, we want to smoke some weed. Oh, okay. All right, fine. So I'm hitting off with the girl, and I smoke a little weed, and, you know, drinking. Now more like, okay, we were hammered, now we're kind of a little bit just kind of, now we're in the middle, right? And
yeah, you're twisted is what you're trying to
and
say.
it's approaching like 5 a.m., right?
Shit.
And so the other girl was giving like the most crazy googly eyes to my buddy, and I'm like, wow, she's coming on a little strong. But look, you're good. I promise. He's here. We're here. It's 5 a.m. We're on the rooftop. As long as nobody falls off.
You're not on a rooftop. You're in an awning.
We're on an awning. You're good. I promise. So, you know, the night ends. I go one way. He goes another. You fill in the blanks. Sure. And the next morning, we're getting up and getting ready to leave. And I'm kind of getting out and like say goodbye. And she's like, that's so great. We're hanging out, da-da-da. And then the other one comes over and he leaves, and it's just kind of the 3 of us. And she goes, they were early 20s, okay? Early 20s.
How old were you?
We were early 20s. I was late 20s.
Okay.
I was late 20s. He was early 20s. They were probably 24 or something like that. This one girl was like, I just always knew my first time was always going to be so special. I looked at, not me, I looked at my buddy, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, what?
Wait, what?
I'm sorry, what? Your what? Your first time? She's like, yeah, she was a virgin.
Stop it.
That's not how this was supposed to go down. Did you know that?
Wait, was she serious?
Yeah. And she was like, this is my choice. The guy that I bartended with, this is my choice.
This is my choice.
This is my choice. I was like,
this is my choice.
This was your choice?
He's your choice at 5 a.m. on an awning in downtown
After
LA?
24 years? And he was like blown away. So
I mean, what do you say? Like, thank you?
Yeah. So so it's weird.
Like, should I buy you a breakfast burrito? I don't.
No,
what?
she was stoked. She was so happy. Okay, awesome.
What?
So
There's like a deeper thing here, right?
I don't know. Then no, she was happy about it. She selected him.
Which is why there's something deeper here.
He had
This
no
is
idea.
insane.
He had no idea. No clue. Like, no clue. So
Are we in the Wedding Crashers right now?
So we go. But now we got our vest. It's the next morning.
Did you write this down on a bar napkin?
I'm like, it's like, dude, we throw the vest on the shoulder. I was like, wow, that was crazy. I can't believe we're that. Smoked the weed on the awning, almost fucking died. You end up with her. She's like, next morning, she's like, that was exactly how I imagined it for 24 years.
My husband.
So we try to call an Uber, but the phone's dead. We're like, so we just gotta get back to like life. It's now like 9 a.m. All right, well, there's a bus route here. It's down to LA. So we try to get on the bus. We are parched. Okay,
That sounds
parched because
absolutely terrible.
And this girl is on the bus, right? And we had a Jack in the Box. Like we had walked by and got some Jack in the Box.
Did you get a munchie box?
No.
A munchie meal? Oh no, those are only available till like 4 a.m. I think.
Yeah. And he said,
Shout out.
Oh no, I'm sorry. She had the Jack in the Box, and so we're both hungover because we had no food, no water, and we're sitting there, and she's on the bus, and we're on the bus, and we probably got like five blocks to go, and he looks over to her, and we're just this whoa, right. He goes, man, that Jumbo Jack or Breakfast Jack looks so good. I would give anything in the world for half of your Jumbo Jack. And she's like, oh, yeah, no problem. You like you had a hard night. She gives him the Jumbo Jack. So he starts eating the Jumbo Jack. And he sees that she's got this giant jug of water. And he like
on the bus.
And she goes, oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, my God, she's going to give you your water because I'm dying of thirst. And so he takes it and he's like, do you mind? And it's huge. It's like 32 ounces. He takes it. He's like, and I go, oh, can I? And I give it to me. And I go, she goes, whoa. And I'm thinking like, oh, I'm sorry, we're drinking all your water. And she goes, whoa. You know there's Molly in that,
Stop
right?
it.
No, we do not know there's Molly in this water. And she goes, I work for DirecTV. I'm on the phone all day long dealing with people. What? Of course there's Molly in that. And all of a sudden I look at him and we just had this night and he just became someone's first on the 24. And it's 5 a.m. We haven't changed. We're hammered, hungover. And now I start getting like, whoa. And we got out of the bus ride, but I was like, this is going to hit me like in 20 minutes, isn't it? And then, next thing you know, just roll right back into Saturday or Sunday morning or whatever and start the show.
This is like a literal PSA for like not taking public transportation in Los Angeles, which is why it's like, wait, did you have to work at the bar after that?
Yeah, I mean that night.
So you're rolling. You got no sleep.
I'm rolling from like
if you've ever, you can't
9
sleep on Molly. I'm assuming.
Yeah, like 9:30 till probably 5 or 6. I'm like going back, and I mean, but also my body hasn't recovered.
Eric, how did you pour with heart?
Oh my God.
How did you pour with heart that night?
I think you just got to roll with it.
You literally
just roll with it and be like,
roll with it.
Just there was something about the innocence of the way she was like, whoa, you know there's Molly in that, right?
No.
I didn't even know Molly could be in water. I didn't know it could be in water. I thought it was like a drug, a pill.
I like how she's like, I talk to people all day. Like, I have to do this. Like,
I talked to I told you that was like a thing. I told you I work for DirecTV. I'm on the phone all day. We did not make that connection.
No,
we did not think that.
Normal people are not like rolling on drugs at their job.
Wild.
Again.
So,
why public transportation sucks in LA?
Day in the life.
Day in the life.
Downtown LA, bartending, circa 2015.
Okay, so how did you decide? And it's always a big decision because it's very much like a trap to leave the industry.
Yeah, I mean, personally, it was a physical thing. I started getting back problems.
Okay,
which is
like drinking Molly water.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're drinking too much, you're partying, and you're living the lifestyle, and it's there doesn't mean everybody has to do it that way. It's just
right.
Sort of the path I chose, and we were largely safe and responsible and doing it within the right confines and kind of
just like taking virginities, and it's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
But it adds up, you know what I mean? Like, so, you drink a bottle of whiskey a week or something like that. And you do that over the course of normalcy. Because, you get off work and you're like, guys are hungry, so they go to the taco truck.
Sure.
And then you're eating this like 3,000 calorie burrito and then you're drinking until after hours. You go home and maybe you go to a buddy's house, so they come over.
Because it is the lifestyle. If you're not in the lifestyle, yeah.
So it adds up. And physically, I was having this back issue where they're like, "You have a spinal cord of a 70-year-old man," and I was like, well,
Weird.
Why would you say that? They're like, "You're ridiculously dehydrated to the point where you're like the water in your spinal cord is gone." Like, do you not drink enough water? And I was like, no, I don't think so. And do you drink alcohol that then makes you more dehydrated? I was like, well, yeah, maybe a little bit. Like, this is not good. So I was having a lot of hard times physically. And I remember like just having to do all these crazy like stretches before a shift because the shift is so arduous.
Yeah. It is so physical.
That I was doing all these like crazy like shifts to get stretches to get my back loose. And I had this great bar back who was just like this sage. And he was like, your body is trying to tell you something. Sometimes the body will tell you things that the mind is not willing to hear.
Really?
And I was like, where did this like spirit come from? And he made a lot of sense. And so I was like, okay, I got to listen to my body, and my body is right. And I got to hang it up. Now, Andrew had told me from early on back at Ocean Avenue, he was like, every bartender knows when they've poured their last martini or poured
really
their last cocktail. And I always thought that was so beautiful, so much poetry in that. And
because you're a writer.
For me, when that guy had told me, he was like, I think your body's trying to tell you something, and you maybe should listen to it. It just, it was like a switch. And I was like, I think I'm approaching my last...
old fashioned.
Yeah, I'm approaching my last old fashioned. And so then I left, and I haven't done it since. But just a tremendous amount of love and support and appreciation for the world and what it meant for me. But like, I poured my last, but I went out, choosing
top of your game.
And I went top of my game, and I'm very proud of it. And it was so fortunate that Sed came reaching out to me several years later to actually be able to go back in and kind of get back on the horse one more time, if even just to write about it.
Did you guys get drunk to write the book?
No, we got drunk after we wrote.
Wait, was your last cocktail, the last drink you poured, was it at Jackalope 7?
$7,000, yeah.
It was $7,000.
It was in the back bar,
Okay.
like on the weekends. It was that.
Was it
kind of
emotional? Or were you just like, whatever?
It was everything. It was everything. Because a lot of support, a lot of love.
What'd you do with your weekends?
Now? Or
Like immediately. It's like a shocker, right? You're like, I don't understand. What do you mean it's Saturday night?
You sleep, first of all.
Yeah.
You do that. So you catch up on a lot of sleep. And then you actually figure out what a weekend is. But, I got to tell you, there is a different experience going to a bar on a Friday night as a patron versus being the bartender, being the one in charge, being the one issuing the drinks, issuing the, like attention, music, lights, whatever, like creating the chemistry. And that's a big, big rush. And then you take that uniform off and you're on the other side, and you're just dude. And you go up and you're like, yeah, I'll have a beer. And you sit there and you're like,
full price.
Does anybody want to listen to Bohemian Rhapsody? I got a great light show.
And nobody wants to listen.
And then, hey, maybe you talk to a girl and they're like, you're just the guy at the bar. I'm going to go talk to the bartender because I've come here a couple times. And
does it personally affect you if you have a bad experience with a bartender at a bar?
Yeah, because I hold them to a higher standard
Yeah.
now, and it's not their fault. But I just go like, I sound stupid in my head. So I'm like, you are not pouring with heart, sir. And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. And I go, well, here is a
read my book.
And then that's even worse.
You're just like sending Amazon copies to random bars.
So I usually just bite my lip, but recently I got into one, and they were just overcharging and taking advantage of it. And I wasn't saying that you're not. I don't like the price because I didn't like the price. I was like, this is incorrect. Like knowing the price points and this, that, whatever. And I was like, wait, this is like abusive. This is like manipulative.
Yes.
And I was like, is this so much that I thought it was a mistake? And I also didn't want to be the person like, oh, I think you made a mistake. But like, I just was like, I wanted to know if it was a mistake or if they were being dicks. That's really what I was going for.
Okay.
I didn't care what it was. I just need to know whether I'm being screwed or whether you made a mistake. And either one is fine. I just wanted to know. So it's like, I just need, because this is not correct. It's basically what I said. It's like, well, I mean, you drink it by the beach, so I mean, it is what it is.
Stop.
And I was like, nah, you done and did it. Now,
Yeah.
now that is not pouring with heart.
Yeah.
You could have just answered my question, or you
Yep.
could have been like, well, or you could have given me a bullshit answer, or you could have just been like, how can I make it up to you, or even just be like, just play dumb. Just you don't have to go out of your way to
You're
be a
drinking by
dick.
the beach.
Well, you're drinking by the beach, and I'm like, oh, this is a 4 fucking wall thing. I might as well be drinking on Mars right now. 'Cause I
Yeah.
don't see the goddamn ocean.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it, and this is normally, had he not gone that far, normally I would have just been like, okay, whatever, and I left. But then he did that, and I was like, I was trying to convey to him, no, like, I get it, but you don't have to say that to me because I've done this before, and I've really done this before.
Yeah.
I've really, really, really done what you've done before. I don't know how to explain this in 10 seconds without saying anything, just like my eyes, just like I get it, right? And I was like, no, that, I get it. I don't see the beach, but anyway, but I just, no, I'm just asking, is that the actual price? Because that is incorrect. And I think
Right.
that's where maybe I went too far because I wasn't suggestive anymore. I was like, factually, that is incorrect.
Are you no longer allowed at a bar by the beach is what you're getting to.
Well, then he goes, hey, listen, pal, if you don't like the prices, there's a liquor store across the street. And I was like, I might have to, this is, now we are approaching, I may never, so I just had to like zen out,
Just chill.
take the tab, 20% out.
Oh man, it like hurts you.
But I wasn't able to get, like, explain, and now I feel like every time I go back in there, he's like, that's that guy.
Yeah.
I told him to go to the liquor store.
You should just bring a copy of Pouring with Heart, like, and just throw it on the.
Well, there are a few examples in the book about bartenders that I've come across and heard that did not pour with heart, and it stinks. It really stinks. Like if you don't know what pouring with heart is, or you don't know what it's not, you know it immediately when you see it. You know when you're like, ugh, I don't want to come back here again.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
And I definitely
100%.
worked with a ton of bartenders that have, unfortunately, just, you don't got to go there, you know?
No, you don't.
You don't know who I am. You're not practicing
And
Ichigo
you
Ichie.
don't know, like,
Sir, where
what
is your
your day-
Ichigo Ichie, sir? He goes, fuck out of here, dude.
was
But you
writing
lo-
the
you
book
lose
like
all that.
cathartic
You lose
to you?
all that
You
because,
do.
Because when you're bartending with Bar Jackalope, you're able to sort of set an example
Right.
and sort of mold the shape and flow of the evening. When you're just a solo person out, you don't have a lot of power.
Yeah.
And so whatever's going to be is going to be. And who are you going to be to, like, you know, lecture that bartender or something like that? And, you know, unfortunately, he's not going to change. He's going to keep
not.
being like that. But, you know. So I
Was
think
the
that's
book the final full circle of the bar industry for you, or is there more to the story?
No, I always had a healthy appreciation for the camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know, brothers and sisters working together, having each other's backs, you know, calling in favors. My dad had an open heart surgery once where I was like, oh my God, I need like 5 shifts covered
Yeah.
immediately, like starting in 30 minutes. And I got you. You know, so there was a lot of like these loyal bonds that are built, and
Which is really hard to find in my experience outside
oh yeah,
the industry.
and it's kind of, you know, they loosely say like, yeah, you should get in the service industry because if you're an actor or a model and you need to
Sure.
like auditions, it's a very loose schedule. It's like, yes, on the surface level, but sometimes you have real world
Sometimes
shit
it's really
happen.
hard too. Like,
And
either
people
way,
jump
yeah.
in, you know, and there's a camaraderie if usually if the bar is running with like a good you know, familial vibe, and so people do stick their neck out for you in a way that you just like, you're gonna call like that guy at accounting in your 9-to-5 job and be like, listen, I have some difficult shit I'm going through. Anybody could cover my shift. They're like, nobody covers shifts. We all have a job. We all clock in, we all clock out. Put in your PTO time.
Yeah.
If you have any, but it just doesn't
right.
work like that.
If you don't PTO, that's your problem. Sorry.
But like, I'll never forget the guy that did that
Yeah.
one time. And then of course that makes you want to pay it back. It's that sort of like serotonin that is, you know, very prevalent and goes back and forth with bar staffs.
And doesn't
It's
exist
really special.
in
And
a lot
doesn't
of
exist
places.
anywhere,
Yeah.
So to be able to go back into that skin and write about those specific things
Right.
is very rewarding. I also feel like anytime you leave a sport on an injury, you kind of go like, yeah, but yeah, I know I went out on my own and I made the choice, but like, could I still sling it?
Okay, so in like
And
every
writing
script
about it
you
made me
write,
feel like, oh yeah, I
is
guess
there
I
always a
could.
bar character?
Is there what?
Is there always a bar character or bar thing in every? I don't know the answer to
That's
this.
a wonderful question, Katia. This is not the first podcast. No, there's not always a bar character, but there is always what the bar character that I understand stands for.
Okay.
So there's always either someone that's like a little bit wiser than they should be, or a little bit more like attentive, or a little bit more like
Everyone's pouring from heart.
kind of in their
Yeah.
own way, but like in a more personal way, like a family member. Or there's just somebody that kind of sees it through a different lens, or someone you can talk to with a little bit more confidence. There's a familial structure of like loyalty and camaraderie within certain pockets of the characters that I write, and it's all back to those experiences.
That comes from there.
Yeah. So you may not see the bar in every
Okay.
minus Bar Wars. That's pretty.
Bar Wars.
Yeah.
Bar Wars is gonna be
Bar
epic.
Wars,
I'm
Bar
so
Wars,
excited.
Bar
I'm
Wars.
so excited.
Especially with the heat that the Bears is doing.
Yeah.
Maybe people are wanting to get back into that skin. But yeah, if you don't see a bar specifically in a piece of my writing, the feel and like the emotions that you get from a book like this definitely resonate. A lot of heart in bars.
Yeah, there are.
There's a lot of heart in bars, and I think in my stories, if I can get one thing across, it's showcase a little bit of heart.
Yeah. Okay, I want you to give everyone a little lighter, but I want you to give like the 5 must-haves of Los Angeles from Erik Cardona.
What kind of list? What kind of?
Bars, tacos.
Okay.
And also, I'm going to preface with this, like, you live on the west side, but I want you to, like, broaden your horizons a little bit.
Okay.
What are, like, the 5 go-to bars and or restaurants in Los Angeles that people should go to?
I mean, 7 Grand Bar Jackalope.
Well, duh.
Obviously, that's there.
Duh.
That's
Duh,
you
duh,
got
duh.
to do both.
Yeah.
You definitely
That's
gotta-
one in my mind.
Okay.
Okay.
So then I think you got to hit Birds. Birds off of Franklin.
On Franklin. They have a
Yeah.
great Bloody Mary.
And Sundays, there's
Yeah.
this chef cook in the back from Kansas City.
Ooh,
And
okay.
if you watch Sunday football, he makes the best fried chicken ever. And if you ever ask him, he's like, well, make it like they make in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like it's very simple, very straightforward. Like because I don't make it like they make it. I make it like they make it.
Which is the
Kansas
best.
City, which is
Again,
incredible.
this is transplant town, so it's like the best part of everywhere in the world
Yeah.
or in the country here,
Yeah.
in my mind. But I live here.
Rockin' Pies used to be NYNC Pizza on the west side.
Okay.
It's like you would never know, but it was a place where I could do a lot of riding late night because they stay open till like really, really late. Like after the rush, they're open till like 3:30.
Okay.
Selling pizza, that kind of thing. And so if you want to have drinks beforehand, before 2 a.m., cool. But it's a place where you can kind of go and it's not, doesn't have too much heat where you can go in and enjoy yourself. And they have a great sports bar. I'm a sucker for Barney's Beanery.
Oh,
I mean, we
You know
love
it's
the
my
bean.
favorite.
We love
You
the
know it's
bean.
my
We
favorite.
love the bean.
Yeah.
We love the
Many
bean.
meetings at parties.
We love the bean.
We love it.
And then if you're ever on the west side, and maybe this is probably, I think it's a little bit of a theme here. It's like the after 2 a.m. thing, which
Okay.
is usually when I would get to go places if I was working or whatever. But La Cabana in Venice
Okay.
is a gem, and you can order like
These are
a
great
full plate
suggestions.
of enchiladas at 3 a.m. If that's what you're going for. But I mean, man, I've walked into La Cabana at 2:30. I've seen guys passed out mid burrito, just 2:30, and
Sauce
they're
on
just
the
like,
mouth.
the servers are like, what do we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait till they wake up. I don't know. So that's pretty special. And then lastly, maybe like if you really want to get out to the beach, I love like Venice Beach Ale House and
Mhm.
Big Dean's. So if you want to like chill with a tall beer.
If you actually want to pay for
Actually,
drinks that you can see the
by
beach.
the beach. Thank you, Katia.
Yes, by
Which,
the
by the way, they
beach.
don't charge you those prices.
Yeah,
and
they don't.
treat you
And
like
they
a-
don't. They
yeah.
don't.
But yeah, Venice Beach Ale House. A lot of people don't know about this, but there's a second floor to it.
Okay.
So often those seats are like unoccupied and always available because everybody's hanging on the bottom. They don't know that there's stairs. You go up there and you're on the second floor staring at the Pacific
beach.
Ocean, and it's incredible. It can't be beat. And
love
no
it.
matter how busy it gets, you always have a great seat. I didn't think I was going to be able to get through 5. I think we did it.
You did it. Amazing. Well, Eric, we're going to have you back on the come up with like your next script that's sold. We're going to dive more into
Bar Wars?
bar.
Make it
We're
happen.
going to, once Bar War sells,
Make it happen.
you know I'll make it happen. Because now I'm like super invested in this project.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
That was
you.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.